Welcome to Guelph Fight Wrestler. I'm Andrew Sennedra, and this is Captain I Can Throw a Football Over Them Mountains Witch Fingers. And today we're going to be talking about something that we're going to do is a little underrated, underappreciated. And I feel like the matches, the rivalry between Taz and Bam Bam Bigelow and ECW were very underrated for that time, and I really think they're really solid. And actually, I think it is also probably one of the biggest moments for Taz, in my opinion, one of his biggest rivalries and things like that. Because I think like working with Bam Bam Bigelow really elevated him, really gave him a maybe more well-known, renowned wrestler to go up against. And I'm going to be talking about. Or we're going to be talking about, the match that Taz and Bam Bam Bigelow had at Living Dangerously 1998. Now, even though this feud, this rivalry was like, short, or not a long-running feud, and it was short, but I felt like it had a lot of good twists and turns, a lot of good characters. Bam Bam jumped sides twice in there. He was with Shane Douglas, and then he fucking, acted like he was betrayed by him, and then pretended to team up with Taz and screw Taz over, and that's what sort of built to the whole thing. So it was a bit of a short, running feud, but really, really solid, very memorable. I felt it made an impact, not only in like their careers, but like in ECW, really elevated, and it's such a memorable match, especially, or there's so many memorable parts, especially in the ring. I felt like this was actually like, to me, it was the best version of Bam Bam Bigelow. This was like the hardcore, tough version. The way he looks, this was, that version of him being emulated as a wrestler. Things he couldn't do in WWE. I felt like the true Bam Bam Bigelow came out in ECW, especially against Taz. There were so many vicious moments in that match. It was absolutely just brutal, a lot of things like that. Taz's strength was absolutely uncanny. Taz isn't a big dude. We know he's strong, he's good at suplexes, but Bigelow's huge. He's so much bigger than Taz, and for some of the stuff he was able to do was just crazy. The T-bone suplex that he did from the rampway, into the crowd was, super. It was pretty disturbing. Like Bigelow took, brutal landing, but Taz really sacrificed himself. Like, nailing his head, his neck on the railing on the way down was absolutely vicious. Like, no wonder he had so many problems, with his neck and things like that. Like, that was just an absolute vicious moment in the match. Bigelow shows his agility. Even though he's aging a bit, he's still showing how agile he was. And when he did his moonsault in the match, he like lands on Taz's face pretty much on the way down. You're like, man, this match is just like a few minutes in, and they're already, landing these huge blows, these huge things that could just like screw up the whole match and injure somebody. But they were really going toe to toe on each other.
And speaking about that moonsault, it was kind of funny because usually moonsaults you go over, but his was like a side suplex or like a side moonsault.
Yeah, that's the way he does it. He goes up and over.
And he like squishes him, like you said, like, oh man, poor Taz got squished.
His face, he's like, oh damn it.
And those suplexes, like as you mentioned, as Taz always says, he pops the his hips, right?
Yeah.
He pops the hips, and then he just like, no matter how much you weigh, he'll just chuck you.
Yeah, he got Bigelow pretty far into the crowd when he did that T-bone suplex. It wasn't just like, oh, I barely got it. He like heaved him way over there.
There's a lot of chairs there too. I was like,
he's gonna kill the crowd. They're like, oh fuck this.
Is Bam Bam okay? Is he alive?
And then when they're working outside, they're going toe to toe, like on the other side of the ring, and there was that broken table. I was like, oh, why is Bigelow using this broken table? This is like so dangerous. I think it caught someone in the face, and there was that funny moment where also Bigelow like threw a punch and he bailed on like some beer or something. He's like, oh. He like bailed, but that dangerous table was not good. Taz puts Bigelow through the table, trying to, but again, he doesn't get him all the way over. Like Bigelow's like legs land on like Taz's face on the way down. I was like, oh man, Taz is doing all these moves to Bigelow that are like high impact, and he's killing himself at the same time. I was like, oh crap, no wonder Taz couldn't win that match. He was getting laid out.
And speaking of painful moments, like, normally when I see a DDT, I'm like, oh, it's just a DDT, it's whatever. But like, when Bam Bam's like DDT you, like 300 pounds of weight, like forcing your head down, I'm like, oh man, that's gonna hurt the cranium.
He's like, oh, yeah, no wonder. Yeah, Taz was just You know, so many neck injuries after this. Well, maybe it was after this match or was caused by this match, but I really like the ending. Taz is slowly working. He sinks in his submission, and Bigelow's like, "Oh, he's screwed. He can't get out." And then he just like leaps back and they go through the ring. It was just like boom. I was like, "Oh, I don't know what was under there, but like all of that, Bigelow coming down on Taz had to be absolutely vicious. Kind of really cool ending though, And then he like drags Taz out to pin him."
Yeah, I thought Taz would maybe get us revenge, but no. Bam Bam got the title and then like cemented him as a super villain.
Super villain. And there was also this other big moment in part of the rivalry, and it was actually always part of like I think ECW's intro to their show every week, and it was this huge moment where Taz DDT's Bam Bam Bigelow through the stage, through the walkway. I always used to see that, and I can only find clips of it. So I'll put that in the description below for you to check out, as well as the match we're talking about. But yeah, that was a huge moment in their rivalry. So they had some big spots in their rivalry. Even though it was so short, they still had, there was like so much memorable stuff to it. So, and overall, like I said, I think it was really good. And I think it was like really a pinnacle spot for Taz. Like, even though he had good rivalries, Raven and Sabu and stuff like that, I just felt like Bigelow's thing was different. It was a different type because he was just a bigger guy, so it showed how Taz's strength and power and his ability for suplexes. Like I said, his Bigelow's name was bigger, so like if people weren't familiar with ECW, he was a bit more a person to draw attention to it. So it's just like I just felt like this was a little bit bigger than the normal ECW rivalries and stuff because he was in it, and I really feel like this was sort of Bigelow's like his company that fit his persona. Bam Bam Bigelow, that tough, gnarly looking head tattooed biker dude. This just fit him, and I just think, this was one of those where all the stars aligned. I just felt so much really connected there. And since the match is like way back in 1998, I still feel like this match resonates so well today, and it's still probably one of my top 25 matches of all time. I really enjoyed this one, and that's why I think it's underrated, underappreciated.
And even if the fans forget, Bam Bam and Taz won't forget. They will remember the pain and suffering they went through.
Well, Bigelow can't anymore. He's not alive.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, so tell us what you think of this match. Go and watch it. I'll put it in the description below. Tell us, if you think it was underrated and underappreciated, and if you got any wrestlers that are underrated, or matches or rivalries or whatever that are underrated, underappreciated. Let us know in the comments below. And until next time, folks, how about some Go Fight Wrestling?
Okay, today we're going back in time. A time when things were extreme.
It's a horrible intro.